What's going on, everyone? Justin again. As always, thanks for watching my channel. Welcome back. Today's video, we're going to be talking about automotive repairs, expectations versus reality. Throughout my years of automotive repair, I can say whether it was from a dealership or an independent shop, the customer's expectations versus what reality is far unbalanced, okay? Because they're thinking that, hey, this is a set price that I was told that it was going to take to make my car drivable, so that's what I'm planning on. And at the shop, when we're doing repairs on vehicles, you don't know what kind of condition that vehicle was in prior to them complaining about one specific problem, knowing that there could be other problems that are involved with it. So maybe not the same exact system, but there might be a different part that also makes a drivability issue. I'll give you a for instance. So like on that Mercury Sable that we just got done basically bringing back to life, expectations was that it might need a few new hoses and a fuel pump, right? Reality was outside of the fuel pump with all the varnished fuel, had to change out the fuel filter. Once we did start it, there was vacuum leaks, right? So it created a different drivability problem outside of the fact that it wouldn't start because it wasn't getting fuel. Ergo, a little bit more cost had to go into it. And then after running it, finding out that there was no power steering and that the tire was separating and that there was brake pedal pulsation, etc., etc. So there was lots of different things that were leading up to what the reality was versus what the expectations were. So from a customer standpoint, we had another customer that came in and his vehicle had sat for a fair period of time and the distributor drive gear on his Jeep was completely worn out. Well, we went ahead and went through with that repair, had to remove the timing cover obviously, went ahead and changed out the timing chain since we were already there and the drive gear for the distributor. Put it back together, road test went really well for at least the first 10 miles. Customer come back, he goes to fire it up, and then all of a sudden it's running poor. So after further investigation, find out that this thing actually had some blown head gaskets as well, and then Lord knows what the condition of the camshaft is in, right? So he's got rockers that are not moving at the same exact rate as the other ones. So reality, expectation, right? Needless to say, the customer was not too pleased because he had thought that he only needed what we had originally told him, because that was our starting point. In some situations, to include this one specifically, he wanted to be refunded his money for the repair until his Jeep was actually fixed. So there's a huge imbalance. There's a huge imbalance when it comes to reality and expectations, and of course, one definitely outweighs the other. And it gets frustrating because it's not only from the mechanic side, but I'm sure extremely frustrating from the customer side of unrealistic expectations versus what the reality of the situation is. This can probably be said for many different career paths outside of automotive repair. Fact of the matter is that customers will never realize the process that we have to undergo when it comes to repairing their vehicle. In a way, we're like doctors, and in a way, when you're a shop owner, you also have to be a lawyer, because a lot of people that become disgruntled with the fact that they have their expectations, again, was way offset by what reality was. You get people that threaten lawsuits and things like that, so you have to know all the legal parameters of the situation, lots of photos throughout the process, maybe even video clips to kind of show evidence of what was occurring, what was done, and then what else was occurring that's outside of what was done. Now the reality versus expectation has to deal with time frame, because it wasn't so much the cost of the repair so much as it was when the customer was expecting to get it back. So a lot of times this becomes extremely stressful for mechanics, because you're given a car and sometimes there's an unrealistic time frame. Hey, this has to be done by the end of the day. Hey, this has to be done by the end of the week. Sometimes there's hiccups, right? The parts are wrong, or there was an unknown seal that had to be replaced, or the machine shop's taking too long. et cetera, et cetera. And then before you know it, that, 1 day, 2 day process turns out to be like a week or possibly more, depending on if the correct part is on back order, if you have to order it separately from some other place because you can't find it anymore at the auto parts store. So then our expectations as mechanics is, oh, I should have the part here by like 11 and I should be able to get it done before 5, right? But then the part comes in and it's wrong, and then their cutoff time is like 1 or 2 o'clock because of the pandemic, and a lot of parts are on back order or very difficult to get because one of their plants had got shut down. So now all of a sudden it's going to take a week to get the right one, and on and on. So now my expectation of time frame because of the parts delivery went from being here to what reality is. So, it's not just the customers that are dealing with it, and it's not just shop owners, and it's not just mechanics, but it's also auto parts people. I was talking with the shop owner the other day, and I was like, this is just absolutely redonkulous, you know what I mean? If I go into a doctor and I need a specific medication for whatever, and it doesn't work, all they say is, we'll try something else, Or if I go in and I've got a heart problem and something happens and I didn't make it, all they can do is say, hey, we apologize, he didn't make it. We couldn't save him, that's it. So from a vehicle standpoint, though, it's very difficult to tell that to customers because, they're just not buying it, so to speak, where you just say, hey, look, we started at this point, this is where we're at, and I can't really go much farther. And this comes down to like software updates too. There are just some things that are out of our control as independent mechanics and technicians because we can't flash certain drivers, so then it has to go to a dealer. Or maybe we diagnose the issue, but it's still covered under warranty, so now the customer has to go to the dealership to get it taken care of. So there's a lot of different things that are just way outside of our control, outside of parts hold or customer waiting, or looking at the financial aspect. Even as a mechanic, again, specialty tools, okay? Might not have that one tool available to complete the job that day. Might have to either order it off Amazon or wait for the tool truck or go to the store or what have you. And that takes extra time out of the actual reality of when the job's going to be completed. So I would say out of all the different industries out there, this is one of the more stressful and frustrating industries to be a part of for your career, your profession. There are so many different aspects to this career path that are absolutely just going to drive you nuts. I mean, it absolutely will. And it beats you up a little bit, and I try not to be too disgruntled. For the most part, I try to have a good attitude and just keep forward motion and keep charging through it. Cars definitely frustrate me. There are certain times that words are coming, right? Everyone knows that, like, hey, you get to a certain point of frustration and the words fly. I think that's why a lot of us as mechanics stay pretty much out of the shop and try not to have too many doors open where the customers are, because it can be unprofessional to swear as often as we do as mechanics. But it does get to that point, man. I mean, you're going to be wrenching on something where you can't get your hand into a certain spot, or you burn your hand, or you need an extra set of hands, or you need someone to balance something while you correct the situation. So just be advised, this career path is an absolute roller coaster. It's physically demanding, it's mentally demanding, it's emotionally demanding from time to time, because you get caught up in certain things that it just wears on you, and it can wear you down. Does it wear you down? You let me know down in the comments. You guys seem to be pretty positive about a lot of these different aspects, but again, some of you might be just starting off. I remember when I started off, I was very excited about this profession. It was fun. Every day is a new adventure. I think with as long as I've been in it now, it's not so much an adventure. It has become a full job. The only thing that I can actually find a little bit of relaxation in is like working on my own vehicle, because I know that my expectations as far as time frame, parts hold, and what it's going to take to actually repair something, I've got nothing but time. So I don't feel pressured. I'm not under any kind of time crunch. If I break something, it's on my own dime. I don't feel like I let my boss down if something broke that was outside of my control because of the vehicles being aged, because things will break. bolts will break, connectors will break, things happen. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think of this, what your reality versus expectations are for this career path. Have you had to deal with this from the customer aspect to the mechanic aspect? Are you a shop owner and deal with this on a daily? What do you do to try to unwind mentally to get your spirits back up and that sort of thing? So that's all I got for this video, guys. Look, I hope you have an enjoyable weekend. See you next video. Cheers and deuces.